This is Growing Up Aspen with Chris Pomeroy and Andy Collin, and this is the season 2 of the Wiener Stube Joiners Table Chat. And right now we are with Adriana Oberto, from an exchange student from Italy during our time in high school. So it's going to be fun to hear what she has to say, what she got out of Aspen. So I hope you enjoy.
So when I guess we last talked to you, you were saying that one of the things we didn't touch on was the passion, which we did talk with Mike Merlt about, which is, for him, it was interesting because he does these huge climbs up K2, up wherever, and he's got to afford to go on those trips and go do all that stuff. So to be able to do his passion and his work is totally two different things. And so I know all of us have all these different things that we do, and in today's world, you sort of have to have several different revenue streams. So might as well be different passions that you're working on.
Right.
And so,
Okay.
Can you speak to some of? I mean, you talked a little bit about your interpretive stuff, but can you go into the photography and other stuff, and maybe how you started to go down that path, like where that passion came from?
Yeah, sure. So I had to start like very far in the past. There was a friend of the family. I was like 11 or 12 years old. He was a photographer, just an amateur photographer, but I was interested. He knew I was interested, and so he taught me. The different camera settings and the focus and depth of field and these things, so on and so forth. And that's why when I started taking photographs, and I like taking photographs so much that I came to the States with this thing over here.
Oh wow!
Which is that's so wow. It's a Minolta Minux from the early 80s. And when I came back, I had about 1,000 photos.
Wow.
Which at the time, taking photos, analogic photos it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. I mean, everybody was looking at me and saying, like, what? You took 1,000 photos? So yeah. At the time, it was more like, documenting family or trips. What I did, what I liked, birthdays, so on and so forth. And then it kind of developed. And then, digital photography came about. And I think I got my first digital camera around 2002 or something like that. And then I got more and more interested in it. And well, the photos multiplied, of course, because you have a digital camera and you take all the photos that you want, and you don't even erase them because they don't cost you anything. So anyway, I started going around town and taking pictures. Then came Instagram and came Facebook. So I started posting my photos on the Instagram and Facebook. I opened up my webpage. And basically now what I do is I collaborate with a magazine, which is the one that Chris knows about.
Geo and Photo.
Go around. Right. Geo and Photo. It's just a play with words. It just means to go around with photos. Giro and Photo, around with photos. And basically what I do, I'm a location scout. And I go around, take pictures of locations, and then describe those locations. So go around museums, go around small towns, go to the villa that once belonged to Chris' grandmother and take photos of that. And then write an article about it and publish it on this online magazine. And then I'm an influencer.
Before you move to that, I want to make sure we circle around with Giro and Photo. That magazine, for anyone in the States that hasn't seen it, is absolutely gorgeous. Adriana and another few other photographers and folks that write articles. I mean, it's astounding. It's a beautiful vision of Europe and Italy in particular. Different everything. They cover everything. I mean, from architecture, which is near and dear to me, to food, to travel, things like that. Anyway, is it www.giroinphoto, GIROINPHOTO.com?
No. The photo is spelled in the Italian way, so it's GIROINPHOTO.com.
FOTO, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I encourage anyone to take a look at it. It's just gorgeous. And the work in there is really, really professional, really, really interesting, and you might learn a few words in Italian too if you try to read along. So.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Also, it's true that it's mainly Europe because that's where we are. But the idea is to cover the whole globe, and so we invite everyone who has good photos and who likes to write to share those photos and write an article. And if we think that the article is good, we publish that article. And there is at least one article, possibly just one article of the United States by me, and 2 or 3 more articles by people, members of our group that went to the States and, wrote about the States. I know that there's an article on San Francisco, for instance, and then possibly Arizona or Nevada. Where's the wave?
The wave?
Where's the wave? Yeah, the wave.
That big machine?
The rock formation.
Is it that?
No, the rock formation. That incredible thing that you go and hike, and it's called the wave.
Yeah, that might be
the rocks are all straight up.
Maybe Utah. Yeah.
Yeah, near Moab.
Possibly. Okay. Yeah, possibly that's possibly Utah. So there's an article on that too. So please do share your photos and do write an article if you feel like.
Right.
And that's what to do. What I do. The next thing that I do, I was saying, I am on Instagram, and I became admin of IG Turin, which is one of the IG Work Club Instagram accounts from my town. Okay, so what basically we do, we post photos by other people on Instagram that highlight the town and the region. Well, actually the province, not the region. And we promote the town. So I keep that profile. And just a few days ago, possibly a week ago, I became responsible for the Piedmont region. What we do is, besides reposting, which gets kind of boring after a while, we get invited by associations, regional tourist information centers, museums, you name it. Okay, you name it. And we do kind of what I do for GUA, just that I don't write articles. I take photos and post them, and these photos get reposted. And then the best photos that I take get sent to these associations, museums, whatever, in order to be published on their web pages or again on Instagram or Facebook. So that's what I do with my photos.
How do you like, what's your philosophy? You take a bunch of photos and then pull out the ones you like, or do you shoot a certain time of day to get the right lighting, or like, what's some of your tricks that you do?
Well, what would be ideal would actually be to be able to choose lighting, the time of day. Sometimes you just cannot do it. If you're in a museum or taking photos of a location, well, what you need to take care of is stay centered and keep your line straight. And that's pretty much basically it. If you shoot architecture, you have to have those line straight, which of course is something that you can edit afterwards, but don't override it too much. I mean, it's better take a good photo from the beginning than trying to make a bad photo look good, because that bad photo is not going to look good, even after 2 hours of editing. so yeah, that's what I do. Of course, if I could choose the time of day, well, then sunrise and sunsets. There's a sunset behind me, and that's my place at the seaside.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. It was that was last weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you need to come. You both need to come. I'll take you there too. Yeah.
I love it. So I've noticed the theme in some of your photos, particularly of architecture, that there's a lot of reflections in them, which is really pretty dynamic. It makes it look really neat.
Yeah. You have to attract the viewer's eye, because otherwise nobody's going to look at your photos, and the world is full of photos, and there's always going to be more and more and more photos. So it is either you do something that attracts the viewer's eye, or what are you going to do? I mean, everybody now can go out and buy himself a big, expensive DSLR camera and take photos. Okay, you just have to know how to take them properly.
Well, if I could give a little story on that, and this is separate, but I've worked with a lot of photographers in the past, particularly in the media. And to Adriana's point, anyone can take a decent photo and snap one, and all of a sudden there's magic on the in this case computer screen. But what I can tell you about professional photographers and those that understand the craft is that there so much more goes into it, that a really good photographer will have an entire roll of interesting shots. In other words, the juxtaposition here that I'm trying to illustrate is that I can go out right now and get a good photo, but I can't get an entire roll of good photos, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, what happens is that you buy yourself a nice camera, or now, nowadays you can buy yourself a very nice phone, and you go out and start shooting, and you have 1,000 photos, 2,000 photos of the same place, because you're hoping that among those 2,000 photos, there will be one or two that are actually worth watching, which of course is time consuming and it's not exactly what you're supposed to do. But then you learn, to look and to know what's going to be good and what's not going to be good, so that you don't take those 1,000, 2,000 photos, but you just take like 30, 40, 50, and then you choose from those. Right. Which of course makes things easier.
I have another funny story of a friend of mine who went to Vietnam as a tourist in the 90s, and he bought a cheap disposable camera and took an entire roll of the most amazing photos I'd ever seen. Compositionally, they were awesome. The everything about them was amazing. And I asked him, I said, dude, you are not a professional photographer. How the hell did you get so many good shots? And he said, oh, well, I thought I was focusing right, but I was off to the right. So I just took them and didn't even think about it. And literally he accidentally had like a gallery-worthy roll of photos that he did by accident. So
right. Well, what happens also is that, once you had to go out and buy a roll, and the roll cost you a certain amount of money. Then once that roll was exposed, you had to go to a shop and have those pictures printed, which again cost you a lot of money. So when you had a roll, when you have um, uh, an analog camera, you actually had to stop and think. Okay, because you have like 12, 24, 36 exposures, but no more than those. Okay, so you actually, took care to look at what you wanted to take a picture, and you actually thought about what you were going to shoot at. Now that you have digital photography, I mean, who cares? You can always throw them away. And I believe that's also why people, take so many photos, and there are so many ugly photos around. So many. Yeah. And people also think that they're good photographer, and they show you your photos and go like, look how beautiful this photo is. And then, you don't dare tell that, well, that's better.
Well, it's like a lot of things. You kind of, I find it interesting that, the basics, color theory, structure, all that form, all that stuff, that naturally it just starts to happen when you start taking pictures and you start to see, like, you notice how things work, and then that starts to become part of how you're doing stuff. So in a way, you're orchestrating,
exactly.
But it's from stuff that you've seen, and after a while, it starts to, you know what I mean? It becomes sort of a vision that you have when you're walking into a scene, and all of a sudden you can say, okay, I want to do this and this and this because you've all the experience that you've had. Photography is one of those things where it just keeps. The more you do it, the more keeps,
Exactly. And I think it was Cartier-Bresson, but it may be somebody else who said the first 10,000 pictures are going to be the worst pictures you take. Maybe even more. It takes a lot of pictures, and looking at those pictures to actually evolve and become a better photographer.
So you've been published as a writer and a photographer.
And a photographer, yeah.
Wow! Oh, that's awesome.
I would love to see a coffee table book of Adriana's work. It would just be amazing.
You're not the first. You're not the first one telling me that. And I kept thinking about it, and kind of gets postponed and postponed and postponed. Yeah. It'll be there sooner or later. I don't know, 10 years, 15 years.
Well, you could do more than one, Do one now, do another one in 10 years.
You can talk to Amy. Talk to Amy. She did our book. She could probably help with. I know it would be a picture book, so it would be a little different, but she could probably help.
Well, the thing is, it's if it's going to be a coffee table book, I've actually thought about it, and I wanted to have like either quotation or a short poem to go along with a photo, and that's where I got stuck. So
in writing the captions and stuff,
writing the captions and things,
or coming up with a whole theme, like Peter McBride did that, where he did a whole theme about going down the Colorado River all the way down through Mexico. And so that was sort of the theme, was the water. And so it was all about the people and the places and the things that he saw. So it's kind of a cool adventure that you got to see and go on through his camera. And so in a sense, setting up something like that, you got to think of like how you're going to build it, in a sense.
Build it, you need to build something.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. It'll come out sooner or later. Yeah.
Looking back from now, what would you say the influence when you left Aspen and went back home? What were some key things that you got from Aspen that you still cherish and hold on to today? In other words, what did it wake up in you that you
Yeah, well, one of the things is that I understood what independence is.
Yeah.
Because I was a kid, lived with a family. Again, as I said last time, it's very different here. You're much more controlled. You don't do things by yourself and stuff like that.
Okay.
Whereas, yes, of course, I went to Aspen, lived with a family, was supposed to treat the family as my family, and they, of course, were taking care of me. But, basically, I was taking the decision for myself.
Right.
Okay. I was going out there. There was not mom whom I could call, every minute or every day or whatever to ask whether something was wrong or right. So yeah, I believe it gave me that independence. The idea that that's the America. I mean, that's the American dream. That you can do whatever you want to do. Right. Just set your mind to it, work hard, and whatever you want to become, you can become. Which is actually not what we are taught. When I came back, I said, "Oh, but you can do whatever you want to do," and the answer I got back was, "No, you cannot. You have, to stick by the rules. If you live in a certain place, or if you're in a certain area and people do this thing, you cannot go out and do something else. You have to fit in." And yeah, I think Aspen gave me that.
Wow.
Cool. Aspen is a special place.
Yeah.
And Aspen is not America. Aspen is unique.
Yeah.
Aspen is up there, way over up there. At the end of the road, it's up there.
Yeah, 8,000 feet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly anywhere in America. Okay, right. It's up there at the end of the road, almost in the neck of the woods. But yeah, it's got a mentality that's different from the majority of other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely I mean, during our time, it definitely had a small community charm. Everybody was involved and all that kind of stuff. So, well, that's really cool. That independence, I that's one of those things that we just take for granted.
Right.
But because you're coming from another place, you can sort of see it. And I feel like it's always fun to sort of see stuff through other folks' eyes, because then you really get a idea of, that's like in our sauna, we have people from all over the world, Egypt and Morocco and all over the place. So when stuff's going on, I can actually talk to them and hear what they think. And you hear a total flip side of what's going on in the world. And it's like, wow, okay, that's really cool to have that perspective,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and we with immigrants that really works like that, because I came as an exchange student, but I was living well. I come from a well-to-do family, so I did not have the need to be there. I was not escaping anything. I didn't need to work. I mean, I was there, but I didn't have the perspective of what some immigrants have.
Right.
Whether they immigrated to America, or whether they immigrated to Italy. I mean, we got a lot of immigrants, so I see them, and I know what it's like. Or I think I know what it's like. But anyway, I see them and I hear them speak. So yeah. Independence. We give independence for granted, but yeah.
That's cool. I'm glad that independence is the one that popped in your head. That's awesome.
Great, yeah.
Thanks for listening. The authors of Growing Up Aspen would like to thank you, and would like to also thank the Aspen Times and the Aspen Daily News for giving us materials for our book, Growing Up Aspen, Adventures of the Unsupervised, which you can get at twistandturnpress.com and any local bookstore. Thanks.